humorous way to interpret that is, are they going to make the people who paid extra for the 3 days early access, are they going to treat them as the beta testers, like in a lot of other video games? And they haven't really talked that much about the single player yet. They haven't talked about, like in Dawn of War 2, there's like an entire RPG mechanic where there's like armors and stuff that you can switch around. There's like optional missions, there's like a corruption bar for Chaos Rising in Dawn of War 2 Chaos Rising. They haven't talked about any of that. They've only talked about the individual factions, faction focuses, and battle reports. And battle reports are almost specifically an esports thing.
Especially if it turns out replays or the spectator mode are not day one features.
Wait, what? And so with that out of the way, I don't want to be too editorial about this. I don't want to influence, poison the well and all that. We're just going to watch the video now. Have you looked into the StarCraft tabletop? Yes, I have. I'm trying to find a gaming group for that game in New Zealand. But then again, New Zealand, like in Auckland, right? It's a very small population. It's a very, very small population spread over a wide area. So I haven't found one yet. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, I couldn't criticize the Game Pass graphics. There is a lot of things that's an issue in this game.
The hours.
Okay. I know I said I'm not going to editorialize it, but I'm just going to say it right now. I think it's going to be an alright game, but I don't think it's going to be... I think it'll be successful on a personal level. People will like that game on the personal level. I think it'll be a fine game, but I don't think it's going to be a esports game. I honestly don't think it's deep enough to be an esports game. I could be wrong, and I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I think it's going to die when Total War 40K comes out.
Watching and analyzing the latest Dawn of War gameplay.
And sorry for pausing again. There's a reason why... Okay. I'm really sorry for pausing again, all right? I'm very, very sorry for this. But I just want to get this off my chest now, and this is the best time to actually do it. Do you notice the marketing release schedule for Dawn of War 4 and Total War 40K seems almost competitive to each other? Like, it feels almost like if you're watching like a Games Workshop release, there'll be a very steady release like every 2 weeks or every month. Usually like every single month there's like a new codex, and then there'll be a new model, and then new codex, new model. There's like a certain rhythm to this. Whereas it feels like the marketing campaign of Dawn of War 4 and Total War 40K feels like they're almost trying to smother each other. It feels like they're actually cannibalizing each other. And I actually talked about this in my previous videos, where I say that it's really, really messed up that the direct competitor to Dawn of War 4 is going to be another 40K RTS title. It's really messed up, but it is what it is. Anyways, with that out of the way, I want to play both.
Talking it over with some of my viewers, hardcore
it's always
Warhammer
a fight for
40K
attention.
fans, and fellow content creators. And our conclusion is that while the presentation of this very important upcoming RTS is good, its functionality, including unit readability, is not. But let's start from the beginning.
I think I'll buy it anyways, just to, I'm like a content creator. I feel like I'm obliged to buy. I can just do like a text write-off for this. It's going to make good B-rolls. I can at least probably make the money back by making like a few like EXE videos and all that shit. It's not really a big deal. But for some people, buying the base game is one thing, and then catching up with the DLCs is like another.
Beginning. Dawn of War 4 is now much closer to its planned release date in September of 2026.
That's in 2 months.
So we got these two Battlefield reports as multiplayer matches between its developers, and all 4 factions were in the spotlight. Space Marines took on Orcs with ease, while Necrons gave Adeptus Mechanicus a good fight, but ultimately cracked under pressure from higher tier units. Yes, these were just devs playing.
It looks very good, but then you don't really see like for example, like in StarCraft, you got the micro stutter stepping, where you have like the Marines, they shoot and then they move a little bit and they shoot again and they move a little bit, like the little APM moves, and then picking up units with like a transport when they're about to die, and then like just to save them, and then popping them back out again. And you definitely did not see this, by the way. You definitely did not see like any base harass or anything like that. or any type of timing push. Now, these guys are not like pro RTS players, so maybe that's why they're not doing that. The part I'm really worried about that is that you get like the Dawn of War 2 situation where things take forever to die, so whoever can put out the most DPS kind of wins. And it just avalanches into like a death ball situation, which is not very fun at all. Like the game is settled within like the first not even 5 minutes, like the first 2 minutes, and then if you get on the back foot within those 2 minutes, there's like no way to recover. That's the worst part about it.
Playing not hardcore RTS gamers, there is a lot that was left unutilized in both tactics and micro, but we can't judge them for it. These were show matches after all, not duels to prove who is the better player. This was also a great way of doing some transparent marketing, which is a big plus. But with that comes the baggage of an unfinished game version, which ultimately showed a lot of its shortcomings. You probably noticed I don't cover Dawn of War 4 regularly on my channel, and that is precisely because I feared that it would come to this. I wished with all my might to stay optimistic, but I also had huge reservations about what would come of this game. I have been watching its development with trepidation because of the change of the developer team and the failed third game of the franchise whose...
Please God, more EXE. Everyone really likes the EXEs, and I'm like in a bind right now. I'm just going to talk about the EXEs right now while I have a chance. If you guys really like the EXEs, I can make more of them. But at the same time, I was like, I feel very uncomfortable with releasing the same type of video over and over again. It feels like I am like exploiting it a little bit too much. I don't want to be like a one-trick pony type of guy. I actually want to be, well, for one, I want to make stuff that I'm actually thinking about. For two, I don't want to be like too pigeonholed into like one certain format. So like, it's like a very tough question for my like own artistic expression. But if you guys really like it, yeah, I've got a few ideas. There's like stuff I can talk about with like the Grey Knights and 11th edition and stuff. I can always turn that into content. DLC plan is coming, but that's been every single Warhammer strategy game. Yeah, I haven't tried Gladius, by the way. I got Gladius for free, but the DLCs look horrific. Just do it when you have an actual gem. Yeah.
Existence, I will only ever acknowledge once during this very sentence. Now, instead of Relic Entertainment, which gave us Homeworld, Impossible Creatures, Original Dawn of War, Company of Heroes, and even Age of Empires 4, the project was passed on to King Art Games, whose only previous RTS game development project...
You guys remember Homeworld 3? Oh man, oh shit, man.
...project was Iron Harvest. We all have our own thoughts on that one, and while it was later improved and changed, most players don't find it a good RTS game. With all of that out of the way, let's dive in straight to the point, and I will try to make both the good and the bad.
Like I mentioned, I haven't really watched Arch in a while, and I think the last time I actually got up and watched one of Arch's video was when he got up and played Homeworld 3 early. And then watching his reaction playing Homeworld 3 was like, that was entertainment. It's like someone killed his fucking dog.
As obvious as possible. Near the end of the Space Marines versus Orc matchup, we got a look at the two commanders, which will be generic in name in the full version, but here they are Ezreal and Gazkata. The two devs set up a small skirmish between the two, but in the defensive fire range of the Orcs HQ.
Okay, I can tell you right now. Okay, so here's the thing. One of the cheesiest moves you can do in StarCraft 2, and I think everyone who plays RTS, or most people who's played RTS, has probably played StarCraft 2, right? It's like the gold standard. You like RTS game, you play Command and Conquer StarCraft 2. And one of the cheesiest things you can do is do like a what's called a bunker rush or a proxy pylon, which is basically you try to box in your opponent inside of your base. Like when I first saw the Orcs mechanics where they can just build anything, and when I saw how small the maps actually were and how fast the buildings actually build up, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I bet you on the very first day, an Orc player is going to box like a Space Marine player inside of his own base by just like rushing down the map and just immediately like throwing down like a barrack or like a war factory or something and just throw up some war banners. And the Space Marines players, like, what are you going to do? Like build more scouts so you can build some tactical Marines? What are you going to do?
building and some turrets.
You're fucked.
Now we have to analyze this almost frame by frame, as due to the
To be fair, we've only seen 1v1 maps. That is true.
extreme low time to kill in this version of the game, everything happens too fast. Anyway, the Space Marine commander guns his bike and slams into Slug Boys meters before the models even make any contact. First of all, this means the hitboxes for units are massive and are activated much further away than where the unit model starts. This is something I will show you more examples of later.
I think this is not something to be really considered if the game is not really a micro game. So, for example, I'm going to use StarCraft 2 as an example again. I'm sorry. Look, not every single successful RTS game is StarCraft 2, but every single RTS game that's an esport is StarCraft 2. So I have to use it, all right? Because I got the impression that that's what they're going for. Basically, like for example, the Mutalisks in StarCraft 2, you can do stutter step with them because you can shoot with them, and then you move them a little bit. You can shoot with them, and they move a little bit. But the thing is that, like, it sounds really simple, but then there's things like firing arcs, and then the actual hitboxes. Sometimes they actually miss, and sometimes the arcs themselves actually don't land on the target you're trying to shoot, and it misfires. There's like really small things like that that's actually needed inside of a micro RTS, like if you're trying to micro inside of an RTS game. But it feels like this game is not that kind of game. This game feels like an RTS game where you just crush the two armies together, and you basically try to have the best composition. It's almost like playing like a magic, like an MTG game where you have the best like card deck composition and you put them together, and then the actual strategy goes from there.
Second, the entire unit of Slugga Boys gets slammed to the ground, meaning there are no individual hitboxes or model states for the soldiers in a unit. They are visually different soldiers in a unit, there are several models of them, but mechanically they are just one entity. Next, I want you to keep your eyes on the Gazkata commander on his mount, and even more specifically his sword hand and his sword, as he will not swing that sword once during the entirety of this fight.
The question is if he's actually doing damage. Like, if the damage is getting applied while he's next to a unit, it's fine, it's just the animation not playing. But if it's like an actual bug, then the question is, does that bug apply to anywhere else, and are they going to fix it by the game is actually launched? The most doomer impression of this is that they want people to pay for a not pre-order. Yeah, they want you to pre-order early access, so you get 3 days of early access. Doomerist way to interpret that is, are they going to make the people who paid extra for the 3 days early access, are they going to treat them as the beta testers, like in a lot of other video games?
Or will he hit anything with it? From the start of this fight to its end, there are 13 seconds. During these 13 seconds, the only action besides casting his Beastie Rage ability is when his mount deals one single attack and the Beastie Rage ability.
There are hotkeys, right? It says G. G's the ability button. I guess that makes sense, yeah.
Is when his mount deals one single attack at the enemy's Blade Guard unit, which does absolutely nothing to it. But one of the worst things for me is that when one of the devs said, "Let's dance," that is exactly what happened with the commanders. There was no melee synced combat we heard so much about in the promotional materials, but an awkward twitching of the Gazkata commander's model in this and that direction, which produced no actual combat. Even worse, this kind of movement and fighting with empty air continues.
The thing that's really bugging me right now is the melter gun that's acting like a las cannon. I hope that the melter gun does more damage the closer you put them to, like with the target and all that. I hope it does like extra damage when you're nearby. But right now the melter gun, I'm just looking at it, it's just like shooting like a screen away, like what the hell's going on?
Continues as a Death Dread Orc Walker unit fights the Blade Guard.
At least it's not like a shotgun in Space Marine 2, right?
It just keeps doing the same twitching and spins 90 or even 180 degrees instantaneously as it tries to engage the Space Marines unit. These two engagements honestly left me dumbfounded and with a gaping jaw as I was in disbelief as to just how.
By the way, after this video, because this is going to be a more critical take, we're going to watch another video by Jefficus, who's going to be a more positive take. And I want to see what the difference between the two opinions is. It's going to be a very academic reaction video.
How badly this works mechanically in the gameplay. The melee attempts by the Orcs units to damage the Space Marines amounted to almost zero actual damage, and most of the damage done to Space Marines units was from the Orcs HQ building and its range guns, as well as the range attacks of the Death Dread Walker unit until it engaged them in melee. The melee looks to be broken and entirely non-functional, as units struggle to even engage their targets. The only unit which seems to be managing to inflict damage with their melee attack.
I want to say that this is an early access, not early access, what the fuck? Like a very early build, but here's the other question. If this is very early build, why would you even show this as like a battle report? And I talked with Nalop about this, is that why would you, because he was talking about the textures and all that, and I was saying, why would you show this on the actual stream? Like, you want to put your best foot forward for any presentation. Why would you even show that on the stream itself? So this is the same question that I'm asking. Like, wouldn't you want to show like a more recent build where everything is actually fixed? Or is this like how it's actually going to be? Is this actually intended?
Attacks was the Blade Guard. The damage that was inflicted to both sides came mostly from the turrets, not just on the Orcs HQ building, but ones from the Orcs base, those light blue energy balls.
I think the Orc player kind of had the same idea. He's kind of, yeah, if you can do this fast enough, I think you can actually rush down the map and just build something like that out of the enemy base. And then the people are just kind of fucked.
Building, but ones from the Orcs base, those light blue energy balls, and the rockets from the Space Marines Hammerfall bunker. That's the one which has the dual missile system on the top. Now I know it is a lot to take in a fight that lasts a few dozen seconds, but that is the kind of heavy-duty analysis you have to get into to get the specific inner workings for a game like this. And doing this is made even harder due to several reasons. First of all, the zoom level is high, making units small, while effects like smoke, blood spatter, weapons exhaust, flame and explosions are massive compared to those unit models.
I think that's okay. I think people just get used to that. I think that's alright.
Those effects completely obscure entire units, not just individual soldier models. Second, the ground texture.
Because the thing is that, like, at least there's unit keycards, so you can see on the UI, like, the little flags, so you can actually tell, like, what's going on with the units. I think that's fine. It's not like in, fuck, I'm gonna do it like another StarCraft 2 comparison, where you don't really see the health, or, you know, the health goes down too quickly for it to really matter.
Are so similarly colored and designed that units like Orcs on this map blend into it, especially as they look more yellow or orange than green here. The blood spatter on the ground gets so big that even after all the blown up body parts disappear from the ground and the blood pools remain, now you can't see the red Space Marines against it. And they bleed so much you would think their body is the size of their armor. And on the topic of dead and blood, not only is blood splatter smaller and less red in the definitive edition of Dawn of War 1, but the bodies remain, not just body parts, but full bodies with their weapons in hand.
Oh, that's a very good point. I actually like that a lot better. It's a lot more cinematic.
And in the game that its developers say is heavily inspired by...
I really don't like this map for some reason. I don't know why. And if every single map is going to look like a variation of this map, I don't know how I feel about the game.
By Dawn of War 1, not only does it lack actual bodies, but all the weapons dropped by units. Even when full-plate Space Marines get blown up in this clip, they just poof into red mist. No armor left over.
But my gene seed!
No weapons. The entire soldier model just turns into a puddle of blood. If
there goes the gene seed. Blood Ravens confirmed extinct.
we directly compare the two games, the difference in mentioned elements is stark and obvious.
I wonder if that's done to save resources? To save, like, computer resources on rendering?
Now, this visibility issue is even more impacted when the player uses...
Okay, If the Necrons disappear when they die, that would make sense, because I'm not sure how the new lore is like, but in the old lore, when a Necron unit falls in battle, it gets teleported out.
The Necrons faction because of their power matrix, which
Don't tell
in
me
its
it
current
bleeds.
visual design impacts visibility so much I'm not even sure how it got past the quality assurance offices. It's basically a map creep mechanic produced by most of their buildings and ties directly into their faction's unique mechanic called the Dominion.
So this is basically the creep from the Zerg from StarCraft 2.
So to even gain resources, they have to spread their power matrix across as much of the map as they can.
Except it does not make the unit move faster, it makes them heal faster.
And this is what is great about the games and this faction's design, in addition to the resurrection galleries and that whole mechanic. Each faction plays in a distinctly different way, forcing the players to adapt to the maps, to the current enemy they have on the map and their specific faction mechanics. Like how Space Marines need to capture more power production map objectives to call in higher tiered units, or how the Orcs can build anywhere on the map and produce both top tier and some free units during a full WAH! Or the Adeptus Mechanicus and their no-sphere network. This is just one of the awesome elements propped up by expansive Warhammer 40k lore that these developers have to work with, and what they need to lead.
But did my stream go down again? Wait, did my stream just go down again? No, it's fine. Sorry, I saw the thing blinking.
On the most. It is what allows for stratagems, the powers each faction can cast on the battlefield, to have so much variety and also deadly firepower and utility. It is what allows for units to be held in reserve, then dropped from space right onto the battlefield and into the middle of the fight. It's what makes...
Let me know if the connection's a little bit choppy, because I just saw like a little yellow warning talking about like the bitrate and all that.
The game and its gameplay differ from Command & Conquer or StarCraft or Company of Heroes. It's those kinds of mechanics inspired by lore which makes Dawn of War a franchise that can be said with pride along the other greats I just mentioned. But when you translate this lore into gameplay, that is what separates good RTS game designers and developers from the average or bad ones.
The thing about this game is that I know they're trying to make it into like an esportsy game, because the whole reason why they have a battle report type setup is because that's a setup that people are used to when they look at like StarCraft 2, like battle castings, game castings, RTS castings, that kind of stuff. And they haven't really talked that much about the single player yet. They haven't talked about, like in Dawn of War 2, there's like an entire RPG mechanic where there's like armors and stuff that you can switch around. There's like optional missions. There's like a corruption bar for Chaos Rising and Dawn of War 2 Chaos Rising. They haven't talked about any of that. They've only talked about the individual factions, faction focuses, and battle reports. And battle reports are almost specifically an esports thing.
What happens if a Space Marine gets a bike unit to an enemy's HQ building, saves up a ton of units in the meantime, and drops them all at once right on the enemy's HQ, as all he needs is to be in visual range? Is there any game mechanic that can prevent this from happening? I didn't see one, so if you know about it, let me...
Did you half-ass it or made it like really fancy?
Let me know in the comments. And
they're showing off to casual players and Warhammer players.
And Stratagems gives us another example of this. First of all, they are activated and cast almost the moment they are clicked on the map, meaning the enemy player has no time to react to them. There is also no visual that shows that they are about to become active. Now, I don't know...
I feel like that could probably be patched out. At the same time, it could be like an anti-death balling mechanic. And what the hell's happening with my stream right now? What the fuck? Is it still doing the little reconnection thing? This is so weird. Sorry about this. I've given this about 30 seconds for it to actually restore itself. I'm sorry, guys.
Over they tweaked for this specific showcase to make it easier for showing, or have they not yet been part of the balancing, but I sincerely hope this isn't their final version. In each faction's case, using them is faster and easier than any other RTS game I have played which had such faction powers. It makes the whole gameplay much more arcadey and very far from even tactical gameplay.
I feel like this is more of like a single player mechanic. It feels very single player-ish.
Let alone strategic one. Another strange choice is making research free in a
But yeah, showing like an indicator on the map when something is about to be like quote unquote life changing is quite important.
resource cost and just requiring time to be unlocked after being clicked on. This takes away much from planning and player's choice. It's just an option to tick off as you play instead of an actual decision you have to think about and compare to both the current combat situation on the battlefield and your resource income and expenses. A similar issue is with unit upgrades or war gear as it's named here. It seems to be just a clicking mechanic with a very low resource cost and time to finish it. Basically a block of check marks to click on instead of an important decision to make depending on the enemy you're facing, their plans and positioning. Again, very unlike the original Dawn of War game. But why would positioning even matter on maps that are absolutely flat? Both maps shown here have zero differences
He is talking the thing that I said about verticality. This guy probably played StarCraft.
in elevation. If you took an eraser to these maps in the map editor and removed the artificial walls which separate the map sections into lanes of sorts, you would end up with just a flat square. This is horrendous, and I honestly hope it's just a remainder of a previous.
By the way, good maps break and make esports. I just want people to know that. Interesting maps are very important for esports.
Alpha version used for testing, because if
To the point where even like in competitive esports tournaments, like fuck, I'm just gonna keep saying StarCraft 2. Sorry guys, I just have to do it. Now even for StarCraft 2, like a tournament where the payout is like $10,000, which is like the maximum for small tournaments, they let the public and the players vote on the map. It's for the gaming experience as well as for the actual viewing experience. If people don't find the maps interesting, they're just not going to watch. And if people are not going to watch, then there's no prize pool. If there's no prize pool, then there's no pro players actually playing the game. And if there's no players playing the game actually dies.
maps like this make up the multiplayer pool in September, there will be no multiplayer to speak of, especially if it turns out replays or the spectator mode are not day one features.
Wait, what? Wait, what? We can't we couldn't answer this during the last AMA, but I'm happy to confirm that we're working on a replay system and we aren't sure yet whether these features will be available on launch or post-launch update, but they are coming. Oh yeah, it's dead. That it depends how quickly they can bring it out. If they can't bring it out within like the first 3 months, the game's a dead game. I'm sorry.
Now, I'm sure you saw comments asking where
I'm sure there'll be a lot of content creators making this content. There'll be a lot of content creators, you know, be like, oh, the new Mechanicus buffs are awesome. Oh, the new Space Marine buffs are awesome. You know, the new buff situations are insane. But I think it'll be a dead game if there's no replay.
the bloody cover in this game. The truth is, it's there, but it's designed in such a way that it's both useless and unused by players.
That looks almost exactly like the same asset that they used for Total War 40k. Am I crazy? If you look at the screenshots for Total War 40k, you get those sandbag positions. That's almost exactly the same asset.
On these maps, you can find two pre-placed types of cover, the bunker, which no player ever uses, and the sandbag or rock cover, which again no player ever uses. These are fixed on the map, and one of them only functions in one direction as cover. With entirely flat maps, craters, which are only visual fluff, and
Yeah, in Dawn of War 1, if you step into a crater, it gives the entire squad, everyone inside gets like a little defensive bonus.
not functioning terrain destruction,
There we go, there
there
he does.
is no other cover to speak of. And I know how much this gameplay element means to players, so as I said, I really hope this isn't on par with the full release version. Feel free to tell me in the comments how much this feature means to you from 1 to 10. Last thing I want to break down in this video, as I'm already becoming too negative about the game for my own good, is the damage, armor and armor penetration. As is visible in several gameplay clips, basic units are able to deal damage to light and heavy infantry and vehicles, as well as structures with even the most basic weapons like the bolt rifles. But the biggest issue here is that the damage reduction from light infantry to structures is only 40 to 50%. This is
I need to boot this clone. Yeah. Sorry about that.
a massive difference to the original Dawn of War, where most units would deal token damage against structures or vehicles, and the damage reduction would be close to 90%. You had to learn which units had the weapons capable of dealing damage to vehicle armor or structures, and use those specific units for that job. There are such units in this game, don't get me wrong, and the armor and armor penetration system, which is shown in the unit's UI on the bottom right. Also, the design of the unit's marking above their head is there to show you the capability and main use of these units, but they haven't been made necessary enough. This current gameplay gives me the unfinished game vibes, where in Homeworld 3 you could just produce scouts and deal infinite damage as armor on other ships didn't function. And
I like how you brought up Homeworld 3. That game is I hope that game got better. I need to check on it.
basic units
I hope it got better. It actually looks like an amazing game, but then like it just wasn't Homeworld 2 or Homeworld 1.
could take down any other unit with enough raw damage. This is actually why during the Necrons vs Adeptus Mechanicus match, the dev playing with the Necrons didn't feel the need to tech up fast enough, as just spamming dozens of warrior units worked well enough for him. Spamming a single unit, which doesn't have much damage reduction against top tier units and their special armor types, leads to cheap gameplay that isn't fun for anyone, or makes the rest of the game's content worthwhile. Now, I could go into the placement of capture points, generators which can only be constructed at specific map locations, the current upkeep mechanic, units shooting through each other and their buildings, no individual unit health bars, retreat and reinforcement mechanics, and so many other elements. Especially the insanely low time to kill for units. You can tell me which ones you want me to talk about in a future video, as I have reached my supply topic limit for this one. To see more news and upcoming games, check out my other videos shown here as cards or links in the description.
The animation for the hover tanks is so jank.
Thank you for watching, and I wish you all happy gaming.
That's a pretty nice video. I want to see what the comments are like. We are in the RL dark age of technology. Dawn of War 1 is a quarter century old. Remember the words of the Emperor, brother. Hope is the first step on the road to disappointment. Oof, as someone who wants the game to be good, that was a cold shower. Thank you for making this. I hope the devs see this.